All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. And as people join, they can just come on in. My name is Olivia Miller. I'm an assistant dean of admission here at Colgate. Thanks so much for joining us today to talk about Hamilton in the summer. It's actually one of my favorite topics to talk about. Just so you guys can get a sense on how our session this afternoon will work, I do have two of our lovely students here. They'll introduce themselves in a second. I have a few questions for them, but then towards the end of our session, I'll leave some time open for some general Q&A. So if you want to just hold off on some of those questions, I'll let you know when a good time is for you to put them in the chat. And then just so that everyone knows, this webinar is being recorded, so you'll have access to it after we're done with the event this afternoon, and you'll be able to access that anytime going forward. So with that, again, my name is Olivia Miller, and I'm Assistant Dean of Admission here. I work primarily with students in Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, and Westchester, New York. So a little bit of everywhere. And with that, I'm going to have our students introduce themselves. Linda, you want to start us off?
Hi, everyone. My name's Linda. I'm a rising junior from Oakland, California. I'm studying international relations, and I hope to do a double minor in Arabic and writing and rhetoric. On campus, I'm involved in Colgate Debate Society. This past semester, I was in the belly dancing club, and I'm also part of Black Student Union. So if you guys have any questions about any of those clubs, feel free to ask.
Thanks, Linda. Miri, what about you?
Hi all, my name is Mira Pinkerman. I'm a rising junior from Lincoln, Nebraska. I'm a physics major here on campus on the pre-engineering track, and I'm involved in some different organizations and clubs. I'm on the Women's Club Rugby team, from the Physics Society, the Random Acts of Kindness Club, and I'm also an Alumni Memorial Scholar.
Awesome, thanks guys. So from those long lists of student involvements, I think you can all tell right off the bat that our students are very involved. I've never heard of a student not having a long list of clubs to just kind of rattle off when they tell people what they're involved with on campus, but that's exciting. It means that there's a bunch of things that are going on campus, especially during the academic year. But this is a little different. Hamilton during the summer is definitely a bit quieter. There's just less students around. So Miri, can you tell us a little bit about what you and Linda are doing this summer and how you specifically found out about it?
Yeah, so this summer, Linda and I are working at admissions. So that means we're giving tours to prospective students and just answering student questions. So feel free to reach out to us at any time. But I found out about it through AMS, actually, or Alumni Memorial Scholars. The dean that works with us actually emailed us about it. And I thought it sounded like a super cool opportunity to just show my own perspective of Colgate.
Awesome. And Linda, I know you had a pretty different introduction to kind of the summer position and admission. So tell us a bit about how you kind of decided to apply and what that experience was like.
Yeah, so one of my friends here, Brandon, he works as an admission ambassador during the school year. And then usually they put that routine. Every time I go to my comparative politics Middle East class, I always pass him near one of our dorms, Curtis. And I just remember seeing him, and he's always very animated. He's talking to the prospective students and families. And I was just thinking, like, it's always been, joining with Colgate Debate Society, kind of like improving my public speaking, and just also to just like meet like all these like students who might be interested in Colgate and answering their questions. I kind of was wondering how would it be like if I saw myself in this role. So when the positions opened up, I applied, and it's been really fun. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so definitely some different introductions, at least to the position, but I know the student perspective is something that a lot of our prospective students really appreciate having. And so these two have definitely done a great job in just helping out around the office this summer so far. And the work that we do in admission is specifically the work that we have our students do is definitely a bit different from a lot of the other students who are on campus throughout the summer. A lot more students are doing research. They might be working in the community garden. There are those more specific internships that are available for students over the summer. And Mary, I know you have a friend who's actually doing some research on campus. So can you tell us a little bit about their experience, maybe what they're doing their research in, and just kind of what you know about their experience over the summer so far?
Yeah, actually, one of my friends is doing political science research on campus. So that's kind of weird. I feel like a lot of the time you just assume it's going to be STEM related research, but we do have research for other humanities classes here too. But he's been doing some really cool work with immigration data. And so I know he's been like filing through that, trying to see trends. But one of his favorite things about this opportunity for research is he definitely likes to operate at a late night like work schedule, and it works out perfectly for him because the professor on campus actually has it scheduled so he can work at night on his projects that he wants to. So I know he absolutely loves that opportunity.
Awesome. Linda, do you know people who are on campus this summer? Can you tell us a bit about what all of them are doing?
Yeah, so there's like your other summer jobs. If you're not doing research, you might be working in the mission office. One of my close friends, she's an international student from Bangladesh, is working at Colgate Science Library. And this is the second library we have on campus, more for your like STEM and like science books. So like hearing from her, like her role, I definitely think like whenever we like borrow books and all that, for sure don't reshelf them because then they get like a lot of extra work. So it's been cool like hearing about her job and how it's very different from missions because she's like pretty much like staying there all the time where we like interact with a lot of people throughout the day. But yeah, that's like another summer job that we have here.
Yeah, I always love hearing about what all of our students are doing on campus during the summer. Again, I think it's just like such a unique time because you're not in class. You have all of this time to do your research and then kind of just hang out with your friends after the work day is complete. I know there's a project that's been happening on campus for actually a few years now out of the geology department, and they pull in some educational studies students and definitely some geology students, bio students, some English students, and they're basically working on just a virtual reality way to teach about the science, the unique science that happens in the Galapagos, to students who definitely don't have the opportunity to go there, specifically looking at K through kindergarten through 5th grade. So some interesting research like that. There's some research happening in the anthropology department that's all about dinosaurs, how and why that is such a prevalent thing in the American society. Looking at things like movies, TV shows, museums, Barney, stuffed animals, anything and everything dinosaur. So I think every time I run into a student on campus, I'm always so interested to hear about what they're doing because, I mean, for us within admission, I think that it's pretty standard on what we know our students are doing, but it's always so cool to hear how niche the projects our students are working on, especially over the summer. But summer specifically, obviously, like I mentioned, is definitely a time where students just have a lot more free time. So how have you guys been using that to your advantage? What adventures have you been on? What things in town have you kind of become a part of or become part of your routine? Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I can begin. We're like on the same like wavelength. So every Saturday there's like a farmers market, and that's always really fun to attend. So yeah, you have your like different like produce, and then like there's also like bakeries too, or like the baked goods. So that's always great. I'll even mention there's I was gonna say student. I think he's an elementary school student. He like sits and he tells jokes for $1. So that's always really cool. And then me and Maria, we actually like went to an art like park near in this town Casanova near us, about 30 40 minutes away. And it's free admission, and that was really cool to just kind of like walk around and see like the different art and like sculptures. But I'll let like Maria continue.
Yeah, on top of what Linda said, another thing that's really fun to do out here is the school actually owns a pond called Buch's Pond, and it's a couple of miles away. It's only like a 7-minute drive, but it's super cool because at the end of the summer, they actually have it open for students to go swim at it if they want to. And I also know a lot of the biology students do some research out there. So that's really cool going out there. It feels like you're going to the middle of nowhere just to find this pond, but since it's only for Colgate use, there's never any competition like over at Lake Moraine where there's always people over there. And Lake Moraine's another thing that's open during the summer. So that's where we have our boathouse, and you can actually check out canoeing and kayaking equipment. So that's really fun to do as well. We also have some really cute shops in town to go shop at. I know I love to go to Adorn, which is like their vintage clothing store, and just see if there's any fun Colgate finds over there.
Yes, the vintage clothing stores kind of been refurbished throughout the summer, so I know that's become a student favorite to kind of just pop in and see what they have. Linda mentioned there's a young elementary school boy telling jokes at the farmers market. It's entirely adorable. It's as corny as you think it is, but I think that really sums up Hamilton in the summer. It's just such a community-oriented space, and there's a bunch of just fun like 4th of July events that happened about I'd say a week and a half ago, and that really brings the community together as well. But I did hear that the two of you had a little adventure of your own this past weekend going to the Madison County Fair. Do you guys want to tell us how that was and different food you got to try or different Did you go on any rides? Tell us about that fun experience.
Yeah, that was really fun. It was a little smaller than maybe like we expected. Like, and definitely the rides there were more for like younger kids. So yeah, we didn't really go on rides, but we tried the funnel cake as well as like fried Oreos, and that was really cute. So yeah, it was just like a cool experience to go and like check it out. Yeah, do you have anything to add about it, Miriam?
Yeah, we weren't there for too long at the fair, but it was really cute when we walked in because I'm used to going to like county fairs back home in Nebraska, and it definitely did give off a similar vibe in some ways and just a bit of a sense of familiarity, and really did continue to show that like small sense of community we have out here.
Definitely, yeah. I would say the Madison County Fair in Central New York is probably a bit different from the county fairs that you're experiencing out in Nebraska, but always good to kind of see what's different, what's similar, and also just kind of get that fair food is always a plus, at least in my opinion. But summer, like I said before, is definitely a unique thing that students get to experience if they choose to stay on campus. I very firmly believe that all students should have to stay on campus for at least a summer. I think it's like by far the most beautiful time of year that students get to experience, and a lot of students miss out on. But tell us a bit about some other seasons. Obviously, the seasons that most students experience: fall, mostly winter, some spring. Are there any fun events that you guys look forward to as students every year?
Yeah, so in the fall, one of the things I love going to is they always have a lot of fun Halloween related events, especially in October. So we actually have underground tunnels under some of our academic buildings, and they'll have a haunted hallway down there the week of Halloween, which is super fun to go to. And then actually the school works with Hamilton Theater that same time of year, and will actually play Rocky Horror Picture Show, which was something really cool for me because I always love watching Rocky Horror Picture Show. So just having that available was super nice. But really, it's just so beautiful out here in the fall. And like, since I'm on the women's rugby team, I'm always playing in different games at that time. So definitely a very memorable season for me, especially.
Yeah, I also really like fall. So coming from the West Coast, we don't have like the leaves changing colors like they do here, or at least not as vibrant. So yeah, it's such a beautiful season. We have something like at our main dining hall, it's called Frank, and for around Thanksgiving time, we have Thanksgiving, and that's a really great event. So like the food there, it's just it's different. It's not like your usual food, so it's like your Thanksgiving food. So for sure, students come through, and usually there's like very long lines. But yeah, really great like event. A lot of like your first year sophomores like show up, some upperclassmen as well. Also too, like during winter, they'll have like different, I think like s'mores events, or like for sure a lot of like your commons is where you'll live. They'll have like a lot of like hot chocolate or like different things like that, just to, like help students stay warm, especially when it's like really cold out and you need to like walk to your class or something like that. I know like this past semester they brought like a ice rink up to their parking lot so students could like skate. Yeah, so a lot of like different fun things like that.
Yeah, I think really embracing the outdoors is something we encourage students to do, especially with how drastically our seasons change. But Linda, you did kind of mention, I mean, you're from the West Coast. How have winters been for you? Have you been able to survive?
I learned to layer and get good snow boots. Like, but even then, like when we walk down, we have a lot of ramps on our campus. I definitely hold on to the railing. People who maybe are from the East Coast or used to snow, they like walk past me like they're walking on flat ground, and I just look at them like in awe. But yeah, and then after a while, you definitely adjust. Maybe in the beginning, I would just go from like point A to point B, so dorm to class and back to the dorm. But like nowadays, like it's really cool to. It's still really pretty here during the winter, and then like when you and your friends can get together and make like a snowman or something like that, like it's just a fun time.
Definitely. I always say you actually need to layer. Most times you don't listen to our parents when you're younger, but you actually do need to layer when you're here during the winter. Good pair of boots, a good coat. You actually have to wear mittens, maybe even a hat. But students go through it together. Everyone's experiencing the cold. Some people, it's their first snow they've ever seen. Other people have seen snow every year and it still feels like it's cold. So people definitely survive it. The summer is kind of that gift that everyone gets at the end of a hard winter. But I think it's always nice to hear that from someone who comes from a less cold climate, that you do, in fact, you are able to survive. Those are all the questions I really have for you two, but I want to make sure that we give those of us or those students who are here with us some time to ask any questions that you have. You are more than welcome to ask questions that are about just like the experience of living in Hamilton during the summer, but please feel free to ask questions about the student experience, what the community is like here, however we can be most helpful for you this afternoon. You can go ahead and just use that Q&A function and we'll answer questions as they come in. So while we wait for questions, because I know people do need some time to type, can you guys tell us a bit about just what some of your friends and classmates are doing who aren't on summer, what their summer plans look like this year?
So like basically like students who might not be on campus and like what their summer looks like. So you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my friends is doing an internship. It's remote, so she could really just do it anywhere. But she chose to come back onto campus. So that can give like, I don't know, I guess that's where like students like they do want to like experience like the summer in Hamilton and like kind of hang out with their friends. So that's been really cool. She is working for Xander, which is a company like under AT&T, and she's working in like coding for them basically. So really cool computer science stuff that yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so we do have some questions that have come in. The first of which is, what are some fun traditions we have at Colgate?
Yeah, so one of our lucky numbers here, well, our lucky number here is the number 13, because Colgate was founded by 13 men with $13 and 13 prayers. So actually one of our coolest traditions out here is definitely Friday the 13th, because that's considered Colgate Day. And so they'll have all sorts of different events going on, just bringing the campus community together. And the bookstore even throws in a 13% off discount. So definitely a huge tradition here. We also have, I know specific common systems have these ice creams that they'll have at commons events. So I was part of Shakoni Commons my freshman and sophomore year. And so we had a specific ice cream that was like a chocolate chip Oreo ice cream that was colored blue. I don't know why, but that's just something that was special to our common system. So those are some traditions.
Awesome. All right, our next question that we have is just basically, how does Colgate treat international students? I mean, I know neither of you are international students, but can you kind of speak to what that community is like and what kind of events that they'll put on for the entire school community?
Yeah, so two of my close friends here, one is an international student again from Bangladesh, and the other is an international student from China. I think that just from hearing about their experiences, that the international student office, like they're very helpful. They know, like I believe she's the director, by like name, by like they have a relationship with her, and that that's always a place where it's located within our study abroad office as well. So I've been to those doors a few times, and I noticed that students will use that space to like kind of study and hang out because there's a little like kitchenette, like kitchen space. And I think that's where like international students very much like build a community because of that. I will also mention I attended the Vietnamese Student Association, and that's comprised of a lot of international students from Vietnam, and they're also a very tight-knit community, and they like throw a lot of cool events with like food, and it's really a way that you can also like learn about that culture as well, being that if you're like a domestic student and you don't know about it. So yeah, that's my input.
Awesome. And then our next question is, just tell us a bit about Hamilton as a college town. Would you guys describe it as a cozy college town? What are some shops and things that you like to do down there?
Yeah, I would definitely describe it as pretty cozy. There's so many different places to eat in Hamilton. It's one of those things where you come out here and expect, based off the population, that there's not going to be that many places, but because it is a college town, there's so many different places to go. We have Indian food, we have SoCal Mexican food. We also have 3 different places to get pizza. We have Flour and Salt, the bagel shop, another bakery. They just opened this place called Martha's on Madison that has really good pie. So there's all these different options to go to. There's even a Chinese restaurant. So there's that. And then there's all these cute little shops down there as well. Like I mentioned earlier, they have a little vintage store, but they also have places like Hamilton Whole Foods and then the bookstore. So there's always some place to go to downtown.
All right, our next question is, can you guys speak to just the general diversity of the student body and the student experience?
Yeah, I feel that in terms of the diversity here at Colgate, our like location, like regional diversity is pretty cool. I've been able to meet friends from like all states, like being like Mira from Nebraska, for example. I have friends in New Jersey, Arizona. We have students in like Alaska. So yeah, just like very like in that type of way, very cool. A lot of international student friends, as I mentioned as well. I feel that maybe Colgate can improve in terms of its like domestic students of color in terms of that diversity. But I will mention like we partnered with Questbridge, that national college match program, and we are welcoming our first batch of Questbridge scholars on the campus this fall. So that's something really exciting, and I think that's where Colgate's like, and like a lot of institutions are like trying to improve in terms of that diversity.
Definitely. The next question, I actually don't know the answer to this, so I'm curious to know. Do either of you take part in learning or practicing a foreign language at Colgate? Linda, I see a head nod. Can you tell us a bit about that experience?
Oh, for sure. I need to recruit anybody and everyone for Arabic. That is my mission that my professor told us about. So yeah, I'm like learning Arabic here in college, and that's been really cool. To incentivize other people to join, we offer baklava, mango juice, guava, dates, a lot of great things.
Awesome. And the next question I see is, oh, there we are. What are some ways the Hamilton community embraces Colgate and then vice versa?
I would say there's definitely a lot of support for Colgate athletics in the Hamilton community. It's funny the amount of times I run into people randomly in town that will just be decked out in Colgate gear, but there definitely is that sense of support from the Colgate community when it comes to athletics.
What about vice versa? What are some ways that you guys have seen some of your friends or yourself go into town and kind of interact in some more community-centered spaces?
Yeah, so I know a lot of people have also done volunteer work with the Hamilton community. We have a lot of volunteer fire department students here. They actually stayed on during COVID this last year. We also have students that volunteer through SOMAC and work on the ambulance crew. And then there's even students that are doing SAT tutoring for the Hamilton High School area.
Awesome. All right, next question is, what would you say separates Colgate from other colleges?
I think that the size of Colgate really matters. Like 3,000 students, it's small enough that you get to know people all the time, or like get to know people on a deeper level, but then big enough that like you're still meeting people all the time is what I'm trying to say. And I think, yeah, so the size matters. And then also too, like our campus is small enough that how our academic and our residential quad are really integrated. Some classrooms are actually even in the dorm, or how like our professors live in the town of Hamilton. And I think that's where like Colgate students are really able to like take advantage of all the resources are here, because they're kind of like at your fingertips. Like you very much can like see your professor for a meeting at their house in town, or like, yeah, for example, like go to class very easily. So you're able to just like really customize your college journey in that semester to like take 4 classes in very different subjects and still be involved in like a lot of different clubs and organizations that might not really have like much overlap, but you're able to do that because of the way like the school works.
Definitely. Thanks, Linda. And then still kind of that theme of like what differentiates Colgate, how do you feel like the student body at Colgate differs from the high school you attended? And I know both of you went to very different high schools from each other, so feel free to both jump into that one.
I definitely would say that people are a bit more collaborative here than I was expecting, because I feel like academically, even though I were in my classes in high school, there was times we'd get competitive with one another. And it was just really nice to come here and actually feel like I was becoming a part of a family and joining the physics department. Really, I just entered so seamlessly and found a community so quickly that it kind of shocked me.
My high school was very small. My graduating class was 30 students, from 9 to 12th grade, about 110 students, maybe a little less. And how the student body at Colgate differs from that, it's so different. I think that's where like college is really a time where I've been able to meet like people from, again, everywhere with so many different interests. And those interests are always expanding because in your 4 years, or within your like first year, sophomore year, you're like learning about who you are too. So like coming in as a first year, I've met friends that like now they're doing stuff that's completely different from what they first intended into their major, or like they're involved in clubs that I'm like, oh, you joined that? Like when did that happen? And so it's very different that type of way. And being at a school that's a residential school, you get to like very much connect with those students because this is your home. So after your class, you like go back to your dorm, you see your friends, and they've kind of become like a family in that way. That's been like a great experience.
Awesome. And the next question, actually, again, for both of you, you both moved pretty far from home to a pretty different place in the country. So what was that transition like? How has it been going to a school so far away from where you grew up?
I mean, I feel like it hasn't been that bad. I was really worried about making friends when I came out here, but one of the best things I did was I actually joined the women's club rugby team my first week on campus. And so that really helped me transition a lot, I think. And it also is helpful that with what we have in technology now, that I can like still Snapchat call my parents and like make sure I'm still communicating with them. Even though I'm far away from home, I really don't feel like I'm that far away from home, even though I'm halfway across the country.
Yeah, I wanted to go far away from home. So I worked right near UC Berkeley during high school. Like my restaurant was actually like a minute away from it. So I knew I never really wanted to go to Berkeley or any of like the bigger UCs. So I applied broadly to a lot of like schools here in the Northeast. And in terms of the transition, in the beginning, maybe same with Miria, finding friends, because at the end of the day, like this is where you live. So these are the people you're like seeing pretty much every day and interacting with. So but afterwards, like it became easy because like in your first year orientation, you'll meet people through that. And also to like coming in as a first year, you're placed in a first year seminar. So you see these students like every other day, and first they're classmates, but very easily you can transition and become friends.
Awesome. Next question is just generally speaking, what year do students start to look for internships? So that's internships on or off campus. What have you guys noticed about your classmates?
I think that students start looking for internships at all times, honestly. That's been my personal experience. So from first year on, like I was in career services a lot, just like going through, just kind of like getting our resume certified. So every year we have to get our resume certified by the career advisors to apply to certain things on Handshake, which is the job posting board that we use. So I think students start looking like pretty early on, but yeah, like everyone is at a different point into kind of their like internship search and like career search, but like career advisors are always there, like even as a first year, like they'll never turn you away. They'll always like have that time to sit down with you and just kind of again like look over your resume, maybe ask you what you're thinking about like for your summer internships.
Awesome. Just generally, what would you describe as the campus vibe, or how would you describe Colgate students in general?
I don't know if there's like a specific way to like generalize what a Colgate student is, because I've met so many different people, like Linda was saying earlier, regionally very diverse, but also I feel like everybody's interests differ so much. Like I'm a physics major, but Linda's doing international relations. Like there's definitely those different things happening around. And then even the people themselves, if they have those majors, can have very different minors. Like, for example, my freshman year, I took German, Greek, and 2 Greek archaeology classes. Like, those are in no way connected to physics, but like, you definitely see that sense of people have all these varying interests out here. So it's really hard to define what a Colgate student actually is.
Next, I see, this actually might be a good place for us to end. And I know there are a lot of questions that we weren't able to get to, but I know we're also running out of time. So just generally for both of you, what was it about Colgate that made you decide to come here? Again, both of you are from pretty far away, and I know you had some pretty different experiences during the college search process. So you guys just want to share kind of that process and what ended up making you decide to come to Colgate and stay at Colgate?
Again, so I was really applying broadly to the liberal arts colleges in the Northeast, so Colgate was on my list. What really helped was that at the end, Colgate flew me out to like check out the school, and I stayed with a student host in West Hall. She was living in West at the time, one of our dorms. And I remember like she had a friend who was 2 doors down. We met up with her friend, and then we went to Frank, our main dining hall. We have like late night hours there. So we got waffles at like 1 a.m. And that was really cool. And I don't know if I could have done that at like, say, a bigger school. So that was really like why like that small community of few and being able to like meet people like that like so quickly, and even just like my 2 days 1 night here, I think that was really important. And then like again, like feeling like I can really take advantage of all the resources that are here.
Maria, what about you?
Yeah, for me, I actually toured my senior year spring break. I didn't really decide I wanted to go out of state for college until I was a junior in high school. And it was actually funny, the day I toured was when the basketball team was supposed to be playing the Patriot League Championship. And that's actually when they got into March Madness that same day. So that was a really cool experience because the school was on spring break and the game was still completely sold out. I actually wasn't able to go to the game because they were sold out. And it was just really cool to see that sense of school spirit here, because I knew academically Colgate is a good school, but I didn't know how I would work with that community, and just having that sense of school spirit like I had back home in Nebraska and grown up with was something that was really important to me and really influenced me and made me think, wow, I could actually see myself here. That's awesome.
You would think at this point in the virtual world, I would have learned to unmute myself first. Thank you both so much for sharing just your experience in Hamilton and also your student experience in general with those of us who are here today. I just put my contact information in the chat. I know there were a lot of questions we weren't able to get to. Linda just put her contact information. I have a feeling Miria is doing the same. Please, please, please reach out to myself or either of them. Again, student experience questions are definitely better for the two of them, as they're the ones who are living the student experience. But if there's any way any of us can help, please feel free to reach out. And good luck with the rest of your college search process. And again, reach out to any of us with any additional questions. Thanks so much.